Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, global markets reporter at Nasdaq. Joining us for this segment, we have Dr. Merav Ozair. She's a blockchain expert, and she joins me for Cybersecurity Awareness Month, which takes place every October. And in its 19th year, we're going to discuss cybersecurity in the metaverse and also learn what the difference between centralized and decentralized metaverse is. It is great to see you, Merav. Welcome back to Trade Talks.
Well, nice to see you too.
Yeah, it is great to see you. And let's talk about cybersecurity in the metaverse as we're trying to fully understand what the metaverse is and how it's going to be practically applied to everyday consumers.
Okay, so I think we already talked a lot about the metaverse and what it is and the differences. So let me, recap a little bit about the metaverse and especially, focus about the differences between centralized and decentralized. So we already mentioned about the metaverse, the 3D type of, that everything that you think about the internet, every page of the internet could be a 3D type of that you can walk into it. Engage with it, and Meta, as you know, previously Facebook, has been doing a lot into that, and not only Meta. There's almost every company that we know is engaging in the metaverse, and what they're trying to build is all kinds of engagement, other even fashion weeks and gaming and everything. And Microsoft is talking about education that we're going to have, and I do believe that it can definitely democratize society in many ways, especially if we're talking about things like healthcare, education, and the big issues that we care about in society, as you know. Now, when we're talking about this kind of virtual world that going to emulate our physical world and even beyond that, because you can do in the metaverse almost anything that you can't even do in your physical world. Like, for example, I cannot fly. Yeah, I can, if I go on an airplane, yes, but I cannot, create wings and start flying. But in the metaverse, I can do that, right? I can do everything. And this is why they're saying, if you have kids that with disabilities, they can be anyone that they want. They can run and behave like a regular kid with no disabilities and no nothing and no illness. Let's say. So in that case, we're talking about all the great things that on the benefits. I like to talk about the benefits of the metaverse before we talk about the problems and the risks. Now, the question is, we talked about internet. Now, we already know we have problems with the internet, with cybersecurity of the internet, with hacks and people and data that has been compromised and stolen and all. And we know that we have problems, whether it's even very renowned global companies or small companies, doesn't matter. They all have been, they all had problems, and we heard about them many times.
Right, and then
So,
once we
yeah.
get into this type of world where the metaverse and all the different applications where it can be used, whether it's ed tech, shopping experiences, gaming, and so forth, there's just going to be an explosion of data and a lot of it. So you have to think about, not only cybersecurity in terms of not getting hacked or ransomware, but then you also have data protection and privacy, that other layer that needs to be added to that.
Exactly, and not only that, the type of data that can be can be added and used and utilized in the metaverse is even much more than what we have in the regular internet. Think about biometric information. Think about brainwave. We already have there's that you that there are applications that they can even scan your thoughts and analyze your behavior, whether through your eyes, through your brain waves, and even now the algos can go even if someone want to take advantage of it in the wrong way, right? They can use that in order to uh, change your thoughts or make you do something that is something that is very um, that can damage you severely. Now there are some. It all depends on the headset. So there are headsets. I think there's a company called Neuricity. I think that's the name, and they all already created like an encryption that whoever access this, if you wear them, whoever access this data through those headset of that, when you go to the metaverse, cannot they can only detect where you accessed, I mean where you are and how you access it, I mean through what device, but they cannot really know anything beyond that. And this is the protection, kind of a cyber type of data protection that we're talking about,
So when you
because it's very sensitive. Sorry.
No, it's okay. So when you think about cybersecurity going forward, it's really going to be built around encryption, almost like what we're seeing with blockchain technology and cryptocurrency now. It's a cryptographic property that is going to make it more safe than the current infrastructure that we have in place.
Yes, because the data is going to be much, much, much more sensitive. I mean, think about it. Your avatar is your digital identity. Yes, you can choose any digital identity that you want, but at the same time, it acts as you in the digital world. So the access to everything who you are, it's beyond name and social security. It's you. And even to the physical you, they can access your brainwave and your thoughts and your behavior through biometrics, etc. So they even have information about you in the physical world, and that can be very devastating if anyone has access to this kind of data. So yeah, one is do what we're trying to do today in our traditional, so to speak, internet, and create more better technology in terms of cybersecurity. But at the same time, all the devices themselves has to be protected, like the headset that mentioned, that they had to be encrypted, etc. That is kind of another layer of protection of the data beyond the access itself, because all this data is going to be, if it's a centralized type of metaverse, then that means that whoever company runs this metaverse, whether it's Meta or Google or whoever else, then it sits on the cloud somewhere, and that cloud can be
Right.
can be compromised, and the company, it's the responsibility of the company, not the users, to make sure that it cannot be hacked or cannot be compromised, this data. But now we have to give our trust in the hand of these companies that they're going to do the right thing and they're going to protect us. But I think that the users themselves should also think about how to protect themselves, like buying the right devices
Right.
that can encrypt all this data. I think that's another layer that we have to think about. And of course, the regulations. And I think the regulations also has to be much more strict in that sense, in my mind, about privacy and data protection when it comes to the metaverse, because the data is going to be much, much more sensitive. Not to mention that suppose that you children,
Right.
underage children in the metaverse, a kid can pretend that they are, I don't know, 23-year-old, even 50-year
I mean,
old.
they do that now too. So I think,
Yeah.
I mean, to your point, it is going to take personal accountability, and that we will need to get regulation and think about the cryptographic properties of cybersecurity going forward to ultimately protect the infrastructure. Merav, we appreciate the insight as always. Thanks for joining us on Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.